When the Spanish flag came down from Havana's Morro Castle on New Year's Day, 1899, one chapter of history was closed. The Spanish Empire in America became an episode that was past. In the space of 406 years, 2 months and 10 days from the morning when Columbus landed on San Salvador until Castellanos turned over his authority to General Brooke in the Palace of Havana. So now we're getting to kind of understand why Noble Ali was in Havana. The rule of Spain had been a huge fact in the life of America. After the Treaty of Paris in 1782, by which England surrendered East Florida to the Spaniards, to whom France had ceded Louisiana 20 years before, the Spanish dominions entirely surrounded the Gulf of Mexico and stretched in one unbroken mass from Cape Horn to the Hudson's Bay. That ain't Hudson Bay, those is Moorish stocks, everything L country. It was then that the Spanish episode in the New World reached its climax. 18 years later, the retrocession of Louisiana marked the beginning of the decline of Spain's American empire. After that, one province after another fell away until now not a Spanish flag is to be found flying anywhere in the vast region through which 100 years ago the traveler might have journeyed for 8,000 miles without finding anything else. This passing vision of empire recalls two other parallel episodes, both more extended in time than the sway of Spain in America, but each like it evanescent. One was in Spain itself, where the Moors maintained Muslim dominion for 781 years. Throughout the Middle Ages, Spain was regarded as essentially a part of Africa. Malaga had been a Muslim city for 600 years when Smyrna, Trebizond, and Constantinople were still Christian strongholds. But as the centuries rolled on, the crescent slowly retreated until the last inch of the Moorish Empire in Spain disappeared. Listen to this. In the very year that saw the beginning of the Spanish Empire in America, because America was part of the Moorish Empire. Moorish Empire in Spain disappeared in the very year they saw the beginning of the Spanish Empire in America. So when the Moorish Empire fell, the Spanish Empire started in America because America is part of the Moorish Empire. I want to make a correction when I say Spanish Empire. Really, it's the Spanish Inquisition or the Spanish colonization, which may very be why Noble Ali went to Havana, Cuba, because in the beginning of this reading, we were speaking about Havana, where it was the Morro Castle that was taken over. So Noble Ali had all this history. That newspaper clipping was 1889. Now we're going to push forward to 1954. Justice Douglas finds racism rife in French Morocco. The French use racial discrimination in its most degrading forms in Morocco to keep the Moors in subjection. Sound familiar? Justice William Douglas says in the Current Look magazine, the U.S. Supreme Court Justice, writing about his recent trip to the French Protectorate in North Africa, says that the Moors are denied education, are paid starvation wages, and are terrorized by police state methods. That's the same thing that's going on in these days and times. Moorish farmhands and labor. Keep in mind, when the Moor called the Moroccan Kingdom Embassy, she said the French Protectorate is no longer here because it's now in America. When a territory is colonized, a protectorate must come in because you have most of the population that will be colonized and Europeanized very easy because they bring in things that they've never seen before and they love it. But then you have the few that know they're being colonized and they're willing to fight against the colonizers. That's why you have a protectorate, to protect the 90% against the 10%. Just like in America, you have Asiatics burning their hair straight, thinking that paper with slave masters is of value. They're riding around. Their main goal is to get them a Nazi sled, to get them as much jewelry as they can. And it's just BS, bro. But the chosen few, when they're finally ran out, then the protectorate will leave. But the protectorate will stay there until the businesses and everything is set up the way they want it and it's colonized. Mwah, perfect. Moorish farmhands and laborers get around 50 cents a day for their labor. He says they live in squalid mud houses with hardly enough food to keep them alive. Listen to this. The incidence of tuberculosis is so high among the Moors that the French did not dare publish the figures from a recent survey. Immediately, you think of Noble Drew Ali. What did he do? He had to find the cure to tuberculosis because he knew the Moors had problems with it. Now, I found Claude Green as a member of the Tuskegee Institute, and as soon as Noble Drew Ali passed, Claude Green had a whole infirmary of people that had tuberculosis, and he was trying to treat them. But see, what they wanted to do was make the synthetic tuberculosis cure. So basically, one of the reasons Noble Drew Ali was killed, because they stole his herbs and remedies. Now, as far as tuberculosis, they made it into what would they call a penicillin. But listen to this. Tuberculosis, if not treated correctly, can form into syphilis and HIV/AIDS. So as far as Al Capone in Chicago at the same time of Noble Drew Ali, what did he end up dying of? Syphilis. It got into his brain and messed him up real bad. Now my studies trying to find like the ingredients of Noble Drew Ali's remedies. Like I looked up India's natural cures for tuberculosis, and I find a lot of it back in the day was cannabis and opium. So Noble Drew Ali may have had cannabis and opium in the remedy itself. But see, Claude Green and all them was thinking of business-wise. They wanted to turn it in and make it synthetic because you can really make a big industry of it. And that's exactly what they was doing. But like the drug stores that have the globe in the window, I have the clipping where it shows that the Moorish origin of the globe and the drug stores and all that came from the Moors because they was the original and first cures of the world. Parisians noted for the warm welcome they give Asiatic visitors and entertainers would be shocked to know that public toilets in Morocco are often segregated. Justice Douglas declares in the Look article, child labor appears in Morocco in a vicious form. Justice Douglas said he saw Moorish children from 6 to 12 years old working in a rope-making plant owned by a French syndicate. A French foreman of overseers stood over them with a long leather lash, using it with fervor on the laggards. The lash is indeed the symbol of French rule in Morocco, he says, and that's the whip from slavery too. When you think of slavery in America, you think of getting hit with the whip on the back. But see, the French got that from the Moors because see, when a Moor had a traitor or someone that was to be punished, they would get hit with an acacia switch that had thorns on it. So the symbol of ruling in Morocco was a whip to the back for the French. And that happened in America too, proving that Morocco is America too. Peace and love, brothers and sisters.